Hello, Vault Dwellers and Wastelanders. My name is Kyle, and I will be your overseer for today's episode of the Vault Broadcast Podcast. This is my Fallout interview talk show podcast where I sit down with creators from all across this wonderful community, whether they be physical creators like prop makers or cosplayers, whether they be digital creators like podcasters, YouTubers, streamers, or more. It is these folks who make this community the vibrant and loving place that it is. And today's guest is no exception to that role. In fact, today's guest is a legend in this space. You may know him already, but if you're new to the community, you may not yet, but you're soon about to. Today's guest is none other than Kenneth Vigue, the host and creator of Chad, a Fallout 76 story, as well as they've got new things going on there with a spin-off show. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Fallout for Hope, and we're going to talk about the upcoming Fallout Day celebration and what all that might entail and beyond. So I want to let people know right off the bat, look at this cool shirt. I got this in the mail. Pardon if it's a little wrinkled, but I got to show this off. I followed the light to the Mothman Museum, Point Pleasant, Appalachia. How cool is that? Okay, that is an amazing shirt up on the Bethesda shop. And if you want to get this for yourself, we got a code to shout out. That is Vault2. Go check that. That is our code that saves you 20% off. We get a kickback for it. And you can see the cool stuff. I mean, how rad. I've also got that Vault, nope, wrong word, Nuka-Cola neon sign over there. Super cool. Right next to the Vault Tech one. Cool. Anyway, we've got that code. Use that. Be ready for it. As always, we have all of our links up at overseerkyle.com in case you're finding this episode anew or the series anew. Vault Broadcast, as I gave you the spiel for, we talked to all kinds of creators. We've also got another show over there called Tales from Tomorrow. It is our Fallout TTRPG series. And if anyone here wants to save 10% off on the Fallout TTRPG, if you didn't know there is one, officially licensed from Bethesda with a ton of minifigs, you can save yourself 10% off on the Modifius website using the code BTALES. B is in Bethesda, Tales is in Stories. That's all I got for you, folks. Also, we got a roundtable coming out for you this Friday. So if you're interested in Vault Broadcast and all the things we do, you want to watch us live over on Twitch, we got a bunch of guests that have been through this table here. They're joining us on the roundtable live on Twitch. Really fun. There's the previous episode archived and syndicated up to the feed. So be sure to get in on that. But without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Kyle from the future as he goes and sits down with Kenneth. Kyle, take it away. Hello, everybody. I am sitting down with Kenneth Vigue. I am super excited to have this interview today because, as I teased at the top, Kenneth has a long history in and around the Fallout space, but it's only getting bigger. This is the time when all eyes are on Fallout. It as a brand, as a franchise, as a community is thriving. And Kenneth, you are in a position that has culminated that kind of grassroots community energy. You've taken your own personal creativity and you've managed to bring it together as this massive force of good across podcasting, across charity spaces, and now getting further into event planning and more. So Kenneth, with that massive introduction, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk with us on Vault Broadcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a very weird trajectory since the launch of 76, from playing it to doing all of this.
Is it anywhere near what you thought you would be doing? Like when you were getting into this, did you have ideas of wanting to build this kind of big, or was that not even on the horizon for you?
No, it wasn't even on the horizon. Like when this started, I mean, I'm a pretty private person. I wasn't really even active on social media at all up until the launch of Fallout 76. And even then, beyond that, I'd never played an online game before at all. So I traditionally would just play single player games. Fallout 3 was my first Fallout, and New Vegas kind of sealed the deal for me, and I was hooked. Fallout 4, and then they announced Fallout 76, and they're like, well, it's going to be an online multiplayer game where the stories that you encounter are ones that you help create yourself. And I was like, okay. your faith in Todd. Sure, what the hell? Um, my expectation, I think, was that the Fallout 76 community was going to be what my frame of reference is from clips that you see of Call of Duty, where you end your workday and you're being slurred by like a 13-year-old, and I'm like, that doesn't sound very fun. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It was odd in that when it started out, early in the game world, there was no NPCs. It was just you and a bunch of other people on the server, and it was do or die. So you'd have no idea if the person you encounter is going to shank you for some junk, or you find a new friend. And thankfully for me, it largely was the latter. So getting together with friends, we started a role play group called the Appalachia Trading Company, um, and did caravan missions, kind of like New Vegas's caravan. So we would walk through the world and invent these stories and background for our characters. And out of that, this story of um, well, Chad and that whole podcast. Which do we want to dive into that now? I'm kind of giving you the chronology.
Let's do it. Let's go in
Okay.
chronological order. Let's have fun with this.
All right.
How this so
Yes.
Chad comes out of actual real world, like real in world experiences. I'm hearing you were setting up a world full of your own stories and narratives and the rest, and you maybe farm some information or some ideas from that.
It was more a realization. So one night on one of our missions, we went into one of the high schools up in Morgantown, and we were reminiscing nostalgically about high school. Um, and we realized that everybody in our group had a Chad who was in their class, who was the definitive stereotype, who acted exactly as you believe. And we all had that in common. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be weird if the experience of someone Reclamation Day is like going from high school to college? So you have all of these people sparkling up, like wise eyed, very much Lucy out of the vault, where everything is like okie dokie. And, we're going to go reclaim the world and fix things, and it's going to be great. Um, so you have a bunch of people emerging into a wasteland, and you have a choice to do that and to fulfill that altruistic mission, or to choose something else. And so you have this character, Simon, who grew up in the vault, didn't know anything other than the vault, who steps out into the wasteland. And you have uh, his nemesis, Chad, who just was a complete pain the entire time he was living there. And now you step out into the world, and you're like, okay, I'm done with this person. But unlike high school, when you probably will never see that person again, you can't really get away from them. And that's kind of where the crux of our stories started. And it kind of exploded from there very quickly. I have never done an audio production in my life. Um, yeah, I'd never done audio editing or anything, but I started writing some of the stories that we'd make up for ourselves and share them on Reddit and Facebook groups, and they started going crazy viral. And a few people suggested, well, you should turn this into like a machinima. And I'm like, I really don't know anything about machinima. But audio, I grew up listening to old time radio, classic horror from like the 1930s and 40s, The Whistler, Inner Sanctum, all of those really great, rich audio stories. And I started to think, well, if I'm going to do something like this, it would be fun to take the spirit of like an old time ensemble radio serial and modernize it and try and do something with cinematic sound where you recreate the game experience of going through the world, but you're going through with characters. So you hear everything bi-directionally around you. You feel like you can easily visualize the action that's happening based on the complex soundscapes. And that the first few episodes took me figuring out how to do audio. Um, but yeah, as we got to the end of our first season, um, we were blowing up on Spotify and iTunes. Um, we got the attention of some gaming magazines, Forbes, and then after that, I got an email from Bethesda. And it was not a legal threatening one because they actually love this kind of thing. It was hey, we do this event in Boston that happens around PAX East called Bethesda Game Days, and we love the show. We listen to the show, which I was like, oh, okay, I'd probably have written it a little differently if I knew the, the developers were listening. And they said, would it be possible to adapt this and do it as a stage show in Boston? So I had to think on how to do that. But also, after it was greenlit, I came up with a concept to do what essentially I did theater in high school. So I thought, well, if this is going to work, a courtroom radio drama would probably be the easiest way to do it. So I pitched them that idea. They took it to Pete Hines and a few of the other executives of Bethesda who greenlit it. And I got an email back and said, yep, good to go. We'll see you in Boston. We'll work out the details. So I hung up the phone and cried. Because the other odd thing about this trajectory is I work in marketing. I've had a marketing company since right out of high school. And I gave up creative writing a long time ago. You write things and it goes nowhere and you kind of get rejected. And you're like, all right, I have to do a real career. So all the independent films and like theater stuff that you want to do, let's just put that on the shelf. And I never anticipated that this would be successful, much less kind of lead to all of these other things. That's kind of the Chad story. We're now in our closing out our second season, so we're halfway through what essentially is a 4-season arc that I had planned. So I know the last episode is already written. I know where we're ending up, and it's kind of like dropping the breadcrumbs in terms of where you want to get there. It's been really fun. It's dark humor, so if you love Fallout, don't worry, we nailed the tone exactly. It's a lot of meta humor, so if you've played Fallout 76, you're going to get a lot of the self-referential jokes. A lot of the original voice actors from the game reprise their roles. Developers come in and cameo from time to time. One of the big bads is actually Pete Hines, who formerly of Bethesda, who's a wonderful human being. It just I didn't expect for it to blow up like it did.
It's absolutely become a touchstone in the Fallout community. I mean, I would say beyond the realms of just 76, of course. And that's related to some of the other topics that we'll go into here in a minute. But, with your charity endeavors in conjunction with Bethesda and all these other wonderful streamers and content creators and folks out there, like I said at the top of this, you've taken a wonderful story of the world and made it into something that benefits people in a variety of ways. I love hearing, though, that this comes out of a spot when 76 didn't have NPCs in the game. It's considered a rougher time. I mean, people have all kinds of opinions about it. I came in afterwards. I came in with the Wastelanders update or whatever it was called that added the NPCs themselves. So that's what caught me. But from what I hear for the time before me, it is people like you, the stories that you told one another, the sort of the inevitable community events that get created when a game is fledgling new. It doesn't have 10 years of experience under its belt, but just months, years. I really think there's something amazingly sort of passionate in that kind of the way the community congeals in those situations. So really cool to hear that these stories came out of that type of time and that type of space.
It was a very unique time frame because back then the game had problems. And they've talked about that, they've acknowledged that, and they've improved. The game today is completely different than what the game that launched. And yet there's part of me that misses the game that launched. There's something that happens in a creative vacuum where you have a sandbox and you have all of these toys, you've got a great world space, and you have to create your own fun. Um, for one thing, it kind of forces you outside your comfort zone a little bit to go talk to random people. Um, I don't know if that happens as organically anymore as it did in the beginning. And a lot of the unique creators that came up with some incredible stuff back then all had wild ideas. I mean, there was in-game raves. There were people creating their own nightclubs. There were fight clubs. There was Somo. It was kind of a settlement that was established around Watoga by a bunch of people where they all kind of built a city together. So they all loaded in their camps at once. Um, there was, oh God, the old school HOA, which later became the Wasteland Network, just going through and raiding camps as if you were doing like an HGTV segment. There was just a ton of creativity back then because there had to be. If you were going to enjoy it, you had to find unique and creative ways to kind of enrich the experience for yourself. But out of it came a lot of really amazingly talented creators and ideas.
That's really cool to hear, and that makes sense. When you said that, there's a parallel that comes to my mind, and I'm sure many people out there can find a similar in a favorite video game of theirs. But I was one of the people that got hooked on World of Warcraft many moons ago, back when they didn't have automated systems to link you up with other players in the game. You just had to do that yourself. If you wanted to go take on a dungeon or a raid, well, you better get chatty with people in the cities. You better hustle. And nowadays, games like that have a lot of those quick join systems. And hey, we have busy lives. It's lovely to be able to save some time, get right to what you want to do. Maybe you don't want to be out there waving a sign trying to get friends, but at the same time, you miss a lot of real, genuine connection. You have a lot of hot join people that come through on a repetitive basis and the such. And I feel like that's true for probably all games, to your point there, that whenever the systems start to get layered in and built in, when the fun is officially added through updates in a way, you do end up losing that Wild West feeling of creativity. Because I didn't even know about the town that was built around Watoga. I would have loved to see that, and I have half a heart to want to create something like that.
There's all kinds of fun. One of the most unique things that happened within the first few months of launch, um, a Swift Kick, and I can't remember the last part of his name, but he was a builder, and PvP camps are still very much a thing. So mind your P's and Q's when you walk into someone's camp, and they are allowed. Um, and it was hilarious. He built a maze inside Flatwoods and was inviting people in for free giveaways. Well, he got the animal perk leveled up and tamed a Deathclaw and put the Deathclaw in the middle of the maze, would close the door behind people and let the Deathclaw go. So what you had was this sort of spectator sport where he would like sit up top, sit in a chair and just kick back and just watch a Deathclaw eviscerate someone in the maze down below. But like out of that nonsense also came some really interesting mechanics. The Brahmin Toss game is a classic. It's essentially a game board where you kill a Brahmin, but you hurl it at the game board and it will fall down through various hoops until you can figure out what your high score would be.
Uh-oh.
To see it in action
no.
it's hilarious. But yeah, you find a ton of quirky creativity in the game that also is very Fallout.
Absolutely. Brahmin Toss sounds iconic Fallout to me. I'm glad to see so many people coming back around to not only Fallout as a whole franchise, but as Fallout 76. I don't know if you've got a chance to play with that new camp update that just launched here, but that is a welcome blessing in my book, because
I have been, yeah. That's one of the side projects that we have going on right now is we're preparing for October for Fallout Day, which I know we're going to talk about, but related to camp building, our next game experience, we're recreating the mansion from Clue. So we took like a week and a half and a team of 3 of us to build the whole exterior mansion and grounds accurate to the movie. And then you go inside and you enter a separate shelter space, which is also a faithful recreation of the interior from the movie. So we'll be running an 8-person Clue LARP as if you were playing the most fun version of the Clue board game in Fallout 76. So we'll be doing that in October, and I'm super hyped about that.
As a massive Clue lover, 3 thumbs up. The radiated third arm, thumbs up. That is so cool. I love that.
I gave a tease on Instagram today, so you should definitely check it out after.
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't see it. That's so great.
Yeah, wait until you see it.
Okay, I'll resist from opening that now, but that is fantastic. Well, hopefully that saves, in any of your future creations with it a ton of time. If folks have not seen that 76 update, if you're a camp builder type of person, if you like anything Sims building related, this is a huge one for you. And I kind of had that realization with downloading it and like playing around the first night. I was like, wow, 76 really has the potential to step into that kind of that Sims market space and really take over as a design and like housing game. Because as long as you like the post-apocalyptic bubblegum flair, but who doesn't love a little Nuka-Cola and Vault-Tec design everywhere?
Yeah.
You kind of even teased in there a little bit about the Fallout days upcoming. There's a lot on Bethesda's calendar as we come up to October. Would you like to maybe segue into that topic now, or do you want to maybe talk on the Tales of Chad? We could go into talking about the spinoff about it, whatever suits your fancy in that direction.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Because then after that, I can kind of talk about Fallout Day and how it's connected to Fallout for Hope.
Okay, then let's do that.
Yeah. So there's a sister spin-off podcast called Appalachia Fallout 76 Story, written by Matt Bartlett and Philip Lonadier, very dear friends, who were real fans of the Chad story, and they've voiced characters on our show who wanted to. They're both trying to get into voice acting themselves, which is tough to do. So they've both become really involved in the modding community, working with people like Veda Phoenix and Green Foxhole, Conquered Stories, and doing some New Vegas Fallout 3 mods and things like that. But really wanting to do and create something of their own. So we pitched the idea and came up with kind of a good intersection point between the end of our season 2 and the start of their first season. So where our season 2 finale ends, it goes right into the very first opening of their episode. So the cold opening takes place after the events of what will be our season 2 finale coming up. We also did a little bit of a sneak peek last October. Our Halloween episodes of Chad are pretty much the most popular and I think our best writing, because I love horror and Halloween. And I think that peeks through into the writing. But we did an introduction to their 2 characters in that episode. So I think we have 3 episodes out now, working on a 4th. And then this weekend, we actually have to work on the wraparound story for the upcoming episodes that are in production right now.
I have listened to, what did I say? I think episode 1 and 2 up on the Chad feed there. And that is a really fun one for people. You got to get in and listen to it. And you mentioned this earlier, being inspired by old-timey radio. That is absolutely a medium I've always adored. And probably no surprise that we have that clue overlap thing. That whole murder mystery type of whodunit type ideas is really attractive to me, and so I respect the heck out of both your October plans, but also just this whole bringing together and bringing to life these stories for people, because it's something I talk about with this podcast a lot. That we get our digital games and we get in there, we have some fun with it, but the stories that we tell are inherently limited a bit by the sandbox and the tools that gives us. We just have limitations of how the game world works. But when you start taking these stories outside of it, whether you're podcasting and telling a radio drama or doing, we've had plenty of people through that do the tabletop game and they're, creating their campaigns and their fantasies there. It's just such a fun way to bring the characters, the set, the table that we know so well, bring it to life. And I see it hooking like a whole new generation of players and people who are just intrigued by the series. They come over and they look at Reddit, they look at wherever they're looking for more Fallout stuff, and then they're just hit with this rich community. And what a great time for them to launch this show, like right when all the eyes are upon it for season 2. So this is really exciting for them, I think.
Yeah. But really, really extremely well acted show. A number of our characters make cameos. One of which is our most popular character, actually was meant to be a runoff or one-off character, Mr. Dark, played by Andreas Somville, who features quite prominently in their podcast in the wraparound story as an ongoing foil for the two of them. But really amazing ensemble cast that they have. And the editing is really exceptional. Very much on par, if not better in some cases, than even what I've done.
That's what I kind of wanted to get at there next was, how does the workload of this sort of thing go? Is this a production that they're doing all the editing and stuff themselves? Is there any like interlinkage between the two? Do you pretty much just focus on Chad directly? And you can give away as much of the secret sauce as you want, but we got a lot of audio engineer nerds out there like myself that do love to know, like, how does the production go from inception to right onto our feeds? Because it's a lot of invisible labor that you just don't see.
It is a lot. Yeah. The editing is incredibly complicated. The only contributions I'm making to that show is, in some instances, I'll help with some guidance in terms of writing some of our characters, since I know them so well, and I'm working on the wraparound story with them. Because it ties in, how can I say this without giving anything away? The wraparound story of their spin-off show is incredibly pivotal to our season 4 and where the show will end. So it's a show that isn't optional. It's very much connected to where we're ultimately going. And I wanted that to be by design. Part of the challenge too, and one of the reasons that I was excited about them doing a spin-off show, these shows take a lot to write, to record, to edit, particularly in the way that we do them. And there's all sorts of ways that you can create podcasts. Some people do very narrative-driven stories, which are way easier to do because it's essentially, you're just reading along, or you have a hybrid model. Like the No Sleep podcast, which I'm a big fan of, will have varying degrees of that, where they'll have kind of the omniscient voice kind of narrating a sequence of events that happened, and then you'll have second and third characters kind of chime in a conversational way. That, to a degree, is way easier than kind of the box I put myself into in terms of trying to do cinematic sound, because our episodes tend to be like 2 to 3 hours long at this point, that we have to break up into pieces. And it is laborious in terms of laboring sound, particularly for action scenes where you have a lot going on. And you're trying not for it to sound too muddy.
Ooh, I could definitely imagine for that, the muddy aspect especially, because you painted a great picture earlier. Maybe I'm borrowing the phrase in explaining itself, that this soundscape paints for them quite a visual. So if there's too much happening, too many sources or variables for someone to take in, I could see that being a little jarring, maybe very confusing. And you're right, that is a heck of a corner to put yourself into, because the production value is so high. I mean, that's I think the glamorous and gorgeous thing about your show is that I mean, you're truly sucked into that space. I'm repeating what you said at the top earlier when you introduced it, but it is the truth of it. You're saying it for very good reason. It's but having done editing, audio editing, and quite a lot over the years, that is I tip my hat to you, sir. That is a heck of a endeavor to go into. And is it just you that does the audio editing? Do you ever like share that labor with other folks, or is this just Kenneth learning how to do it all from square one?
Yeah, no, any of our mainline shows I edit. At one point in time, I did have some help just with the rough editing, but the soundscaping I always did. Our minisodes were written and edited. So George Wolfe wrote our minisodes, and Richard Loftus was doing quite a lot of editing for our minisodes. So those happened independently. And part of that was I wanted to give the cast the ability to tell their own stories with their own characters, as opposed to wait for me to do that. So a lot of the expanded storylines around Brian and Marianne are two Pioneer Scout leaders, and they're kind of very awkward, nerdy, slow burn, falling in love arc is very much delivered in the minisodes.
Well, people out there that have not listened to Chad yet have a lot to get caught up on. I did want to ask, in addition to that, one last thought before maybe we go on to the next. Regarding the time it takes you to do this, and considering that you have projected, you've already got the ending in mind, the fourth season there. How long do you think that will take you to get there? Is that something you have many years before you hit season 4, or because it's?
I mean, we probably still have another 3 years of doing this before we end.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's good. That's what the fans.
Just in time for Fallout 5.
Yeah. There we go, and then right into the next. But I mean, that's something that people like to hear too, when they're getting invested in a story like this. And, you know, let's say you are someone brand new to this. Again, if they scroll to your podcast in the feed, one of the first things I do nowadays, since there's just been a plethora of podcasts that come and go, is I always look, you know, when's the last update? When was the show created? Is it still something that's in circulation? And I saw that episode on your feed recently that had said, like, we're still here, we're kicking, we got lots of projects in the wings. So that was great to see.
I mean, part of right now, so the complexity, so our season 2 has a very big ending, and it's essentially Lord of the Rings-esque in terms of page count, which takes a long time to write. And I'm also tying up essentially 2 seasons worth of loose ends. So at the midpoint in our story, we are going in a very unusual direction to resolve quite a lot of things. So the complexity of doing that is just a real challenge. But this story I'm really excited about because it features prominently a real complex monster of a human being, Dr. Stanislaus Braun. So we get very much into Vault Tech conspiracy territory and finding out what's going on, but also taking a stroll through Vault 112 before it became Tranquility Lane. So if you played Fallout 3, there were previous simulations that were operating that in the timeline that Fallout 76 is, the simulation that's running right now is Toucan Lagoon. And we know a little bit about what that was, so I had to make up the rest.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. That has me really excited. That connected a couple dots there for me just on the side. I heard you mention in that episode in particular that this battle, this monumentous coming together at the end of season 2 is your Helm's Deep moment, and I really appreciated that. I was like, this is gonna be a lot.
It's
for
very
everyone.
much that. Yeah, I mean, there's sort of look to the east. Yeah.
Well, speaking of looking to the east, or maybe looking to the west, should we talk about the Pioneer Saloon a little bit? Do you want to go into some Fallout Day broadcast? What suits your fancy next, Kenneth? Because
I guess let's talk about what happened next. So once I started, the Bethesda Game Days event was insane and a lot of fun, and grew the show even further. We got a lot of new eyeballs and ears on us after that. As things started to grow, I became really more connected with the community, and a number of people over the years in the community. I mean, back then, I mean, again, no NPCs, unique creative sandbox, a lot of connections, a lot of deep, meaningful connections, and a few people in the community who were really well known. And really great people needed help. Duck, CJ Martin, who's a role player in Fallout 76, who's been on our podcast, his home caught fire, and he suffered severe third-degree burns, getting his family out. So in that dire circumstances, we thought, well, why don't we try and help them out? So we started a GoFundMe. It went viral worldwide. Enough to not only pay his medical bills, but also rebuild the portion of the home that had been burned. Not too long later, during the pandemic, Wasteland Meds, who's a wonderful human being, first responder, paramedic, got COVID. And unfortunately, there was some shenanigans at the town, but by and large, the support money that she should have received from the town had vanished. So she was in a situation where her car was going to be taken, utilities were going to be turned off. So we got the community together again, helped her out, got her car all paid up. And I started to think about, well, if we can do this for one person, what if a whole community could do something for a cause? So we got together with a bunch of people. I said, hey, I'm going to do this fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital that I've donated to for years. Wonderful work that they do. I thought, well, going into the holiday season, it's sick kids in a hospital at Christmas. There can't be anything more meaningful than to try and show them that people care, and then work on causes of this terrible disease, cancers that they're fighting, and stamp it out. We ended up getting a lot more than I thought. We ended up with a few hundred people, and we raised $109,000 in a few days. I thought, okay. After the success of that, I said, this is going to be a yearly community tradition. So Fallout for Hope is going to be something that we do every year to bring the community together to organize Fallout fans, creators, streamers, content creators, for charity. It's grown a lot since then. In the years since we've started this, we now do a few different fundraisers a year. With voice actor Wes Johnson, we do his Alzheimer's Association fundraiser that he does every year, calls Voice-a-Palooza. So it brings together voice actors from video games, from Fallout and other IPs, to fundraise for the Alzheimer's Association. Yeah, we're now like $73,000, I think, in some change, away from the community raising $1 million since we started this, which is insane. That's an insane amount of money and good done in the world just by people playing Fallout.
That is the magic of it right there, isn't it? It is just a bunch of, I say this with love, just a bunch of nerdy people who all share this sort of weird hobby that's not mainstream typically. and we are just in a wonderful place. And I'm always very thankful for the people that are around us for being such compassionate and giving people. And it's just, yeah, it's stories like that that really remind you how meaningful these found families are. I mean, it's a challenging world out there, and everyone's suffering a lot these days. And I think things like this are just absolutely what people need in every way. People that benefit directly from the aid, but also the people who are looking to involve themselves with communities like this. People that just need inspired to, step out of their comfort zone. I think the magic around things like you're doing here, like the snowball effect, comes into a play. I have to imagine that it's meeting one person after the next that brings a talent to the table and lends an element of it. Because looking through here, just the types of creators that are called out, the passions brought to the table, what sort of people are sought out for this event, you're really bringing together just such a beautiful segment of the community. But you don't need me saying that. You live it.
We live in a really pessimistic world, right? Algorithmically, content that tends to perform better is almost universally negative. We love to be angry about stupid stuff. I don't believe that. I believe fundamentally that people want to be seen and heard and cared about, and want to know that, God, if I needed help, if my kid needed help, if my grandmother needed help, my mother, my father, if I needed help, that somebody would care enough about me. That's really what it is. It's our tagline that I came up with is that war never changes, but hope can save a life. When you believe that you can make a difference and enough people decide to make that happen, you can make it happen. That is the biggest lesson to take away. And it also speaks to what Fallout really is. It's player agency in the face of impossible, insane, awful, depressing circumstances. The world gone. It's the choice that you make in terms of who you want to be in light of those circumstances, which is a question that we all ask ourselves throughout our lives.
That is beautifully said. Would you encourage people, Kenneth, that are seeing this for the first time, as we watch these kind of sliders rotate past, about getting involved? Is there any call to action you would give people right here and now as part of this? Is this something that you would recommend people go up there? There's a join the team button. Is that what you guys are looking for most at this time? Or is there other better ways to get involved with all that you're kind of building in your charity?
Yeah, there's all sorts of ways that people can get more involved in community. If you want to be a fundraiser, if you stream, if you're a content creator, we have a lot of people that are fundraising for charity for the first time this year. This happens every year where people just decide to, hey, sure, what the heck, I'll try. In which case we have teams. We work with Tiltify, who's an approved third-party handler. It's essentially the credit card processor for charities. So no one on our team touches money, handles money, which is the way it should be. So we have people from Tiltify in the Discord, happy to help get you set up, make sure that you're empowered, people throwing around ideas, supporting each other. It's essentially a platform to try and give you the best opportunity to try and do some good individually, but also the great many doing something collectively. If you don't like streaming and you don't want to get out there and put yourself, it takes, if you've got social anxiety and things like that, don't force yourself to do it. There are other ways that you can get involved. Resharing really helps. Building awareness helps. We have artists who really don't stream, but every October we do a Fallout fan art challenge for T-shirts that St. Jude prints. So community artists will sketch something cool, we'll put it on a T-shirt, and people can buy it. It goes towards our total. And anybody is really welcome to do that. And the other thing too, in terms of getting involved with community, find them. There are LARPing groups, there's role play groups, there's community discords. If you don't know anybody in Fallout 76, find discords. In the Bethesda Discord server, the official one, there's a looking for groups channel. Reach out and find people. There are tons and tons and tons of communities out there, in terms of getting more involved and finding your found family, as you said. And the other thing too is audio. There's a lot of creators who get real weird when feeling like, I created this thing and it's mine. I want more stories. So if you like audio, if you always thought, well, you know what, I don't have the money to come up with an independent film, but it's very cheap, it's free to come up with a podcast, because you can launch it on a platform yourself, and it doesn't actually cost you any hosting money. Anybody can do this. Just get good at audio production. Make sure that you have a microphone that actually sounds good. Write your story. Find a cast. Use Casting Call Club. We need more Fallout stories. Gimme.
Cast and Call Club, huh? Is that a one for linking up like voice actors and such?
Yeah, Casting Call Club is great. So mods use it, audio productions use it, machinimas use it. But it's essentially a great place to put out a casting call. So if you've written a story and you want to find people who really are voice actors who have the right tools in terms of giving you the best quality recording, it's really the best place to go for that.
That's awesome. That's a great piece of advice. I'm sure people in that niche probably know of it, but heck, I run in the audio circles and I didn't know of that. But I've always over the years seen, this mod wants to find voice actors, but how to do it. And cool to know that there's a place for that these days. Get together all the effectively gig workers across the internet. This is phenomenal though. Like this is a great thing. And I personally want to get involved in streaming with it as well. I've done St. Jude streams and other productions in the past. So love working with them. And as you mentioned, Tiltify is phenomenal. I love them. They're a great group.
Yeah.
I've done many a Twitch stream charity with them. And like you said, you don't have to handle the money, which is the greatest part of all. Like as a streamer, I don't want any of that charity dollars touching my account. That
charity only works when we feel like our money is going where it's supposed to. That is why it is so important. Anytime you're donating to a charity, to a stream, make sure and ask the question in terms of, well, who exactly is handling the money? Mm-hmm. That's really important because charity only works if people, it has to be above reproach.
Yes. Well said.
The interesting, so with Fallout for Hope, it became kind of this weird launch pad for also planning and executing community events, officially and often unofficially, with Bethesda. And part of that was planted early way back with Chad and coming up with a plan for PAX East. But in the years since, we've helped organize 25th anniversary events around Fallout's 25th. We've organized anniversary events around Fallout 76. And most recently, last year, I met with Bethesda at QuakeCon here in Texas. And I met with their whole team and they said, well, what if we do something in the fall? It's kind of a big community celebration. What would that look like? Normally on October 23rd in the past, they celebrated Bombs Drop Day, which both has issues in terms of the optics of a name when we live at a period of our history where that's upsetting. Not in a dark humor Fallout way, but in like a, excuse me, what the hell is going on kind of way. So taking a negative to a positive, I said, well, what if we do it essentially as a variety showcase, bring together the whole community and then just give them the stage. They give them a block of time. They show off whatever they create. So Fallout Day came to be, last year was the first year that we did it, fundraising for St. Jude's. We had like a 4.5 hour showcase of everything from live music to animation We had a parade in Fallout 76, original shorts, cosplay, and prop building, and just anything that you can think of related to Fallout. We showcased a heck of a lot of it. And we're doing that again this year in an even bigger way.
Now that is very exciting because I happen to have this little picture pulled up here on the side for 2025 Fallout Day here. Submissions are open.
So the deadline is September 20th. So if you do cosplay, if you're into prop building, if you create your own original Fallout songs, animation, film shorts, virtual photography, if you cook, you bake, anything that you do in which you have a unique way in which you bring Fallout home to you, and expand that in your own unique way. Submissions are open. You can find the link to the submission form on our Fallout for Hope socials, but definitely submit something if you've got something, because we'll be going through those and spotlighting those in two ways. The other first this year, so we're launching also the first official community magazine to go along with Fallout Day. So we'll have a broadcast segment, and there will be a digital e-zine in sort of a retro 1950s-esque, almost inspired by the old school Saturday Evening Post. So there'll be everything from interviews to step-by-steps on how to do ghoul makeup, how to take a found toy and turn it into a Fallout toy, as well as a lot of pictures, updates from communities around the world. It's going to be a fun magazine, but we'll be dropping that on October 23rd.
I absolutely love that. As a guy who was recently toying around with like making retro zines, just as like a quick little cutesy recap for the podcast stuff, I have a one put together for like guests that have been on the show like this. And I love that concept. I love hearing what you got going on in there. That is such a fun thing. And if anyone ever needs zine, like help or whatever, feel free to tap me, guys. I love that stuff. Fallout Day sounds great. And the audience that listens to this show is particularly a group of people that should be submitting stuff to all of you out there in cyberspace that, again, tons of cosplayers, tons of prop makers, tons of creators. And I know that there's more who are in the peripheries that I haven't even talked to yet. Friends of friends, original music, animation, shorts, etc. That's everyone that's been on the show so far. So all the people that leave comments below, I know you. Make sure to sign up for this.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tease with this one, Kenneth? Sorry.
Oh, but yeah, working on the magazine. So we have in total, I think, 23 different writers, all contributing to the magazine. This will be the launchpad of so it'll be a digital yearbook, so we'll update this every year. But the idea also is we're in the process of setting up what will be a website to expand the Fallout Community Chronicle into a platform to do community updates. So as opposed to every content creator who does updates on the games, we'll be doing updates on community, spotlighting events, talking about people, highlighting what's new, and just making discovery of Fallout content and content creators a little bit easier. That was one of the things that we had for a goal that we wanted to achieve.
Oh, that makes me happy you bring that up, because as I talk about all the time on the show, that was the facilitating reason to me even making this podcast here. Was I think I really decided, like I was just in the mood for Fallout again. Sometime last year, I dove in big, and it had been a couple years, so it was one of those things you're reevaluating the landscape. Who's still around? Are the old creators that I liked, a few years ago, do they still make stuff, et cetera, et cetera? And I quickly started to fall behind, oh my goodness, there's so many creators, so many people, but these people, as I mentioned earlier in the show, you find the ones that are done, they don't make anything anymore. And that's always a sad thing. And so I thought, well, I want to bring something together that we got people coming by regularly, semi-regularly, whatever is comfortable for them to come in and talk about their things, just as you did today, spotlighting all those pieces of work, because it's a lot. And if you don't have a way to talk talk about it all. I mean, how often can we talk about ourselves? I mean, we do our plug, at the beginning or end of our shows. But at some point, we could just sit there and lecture for 8 hours on everything that we've got going on a weekly basis. So I wanted this space to be that place where you guys can come in here and do exactly that kind of, catch us up on your life. So that is really great. We need more of that in this community. We need more highlights of other creators.
We do. Yeah, because, it gets defeating. You can only feel like you're putting something out there that nobody cares about so many times before you give up. And that sucks because there's a lot of really great people who create great stuff who would probably keep doing it if they just got a little validation. If they know that, hey, I put all this time and hours into creating this thing, whether it's, creating a set of power armor or creating like some cute little backpack dangle in the shape of Mothman, whatever it is, you put effort into that and it's artistry. You want it to be appreciated. But it's hard to get attention when the algorithms are kind of stacked so far against you. And the community is also split across so many different platforms. It's hard for people to even see you in a meaningful way.
The algorithm stack is something I love to talk about too. And just, it is good to remind all creators, if you're feeling like you're making something great and you're critiquing and enhancing and you're working, but it's not being seen, it's not being appreciated. If that's happening in the Fallout space, it's certainly not for a lack of interest, because if you're making anything that resembles any of this, I mean, I just see people go crazy. I love that sometimes on TikTok, I will get like a video of like younger Fallout fans who have made power armor out of like paper towel tubes and stuff like that. Like such creativity. I'm like,
old refrigerator boxes.
Yeah. I'm like, that's what's up. Like, we're a community that raises people up, not tears them down by and large. And so, don't feel, please, fellow creators, it happens to all of us. It's hard to not track numbers. And especially when I always say these dashboards throw numbers in your face. It's hard to say, like, don't watch your numbers when you log into YouTube and you see stats in your eyes right away. So, if you're feeling like it's unloved, it's a numbers game. And it's largely because the reaction content, the really viral drama stuff is what really gets pushed these days. They want the ads to keep people hooked. So
it's you were talking earlier about there's only so many, it's plugging yourself, and to agree, that's true. As awkward as it is, unless like you're a raging narcissist, it's awkward to try and be like, hey, check out my neat thing. But that is so important, because artistry and in content creation can't exist in a vacuum. Nor can you just post to one platform. You've kind of got to take the time to put something on Tumblr, put something on Reddit, put something on Facebook and Instagram, find a way to repurpose it on TikTok, or just go in Discords, get involved in communities, and just, check out the rules for sharing. But Bethesda's Discord is a great space. You can share anything you want in there. That's a great place for people to see stuff. But you kind of have to put the time into creating opportunities for people to discover you organically. And that can only happen when you try and spread a fairly wide net. And the most important thing is consistency. Just even if it's small things, if you haven't created anything new lately, take the opportunity to reshare other people's stuff. Help them, and they in turn will help you. A lot of the organic connections, a lot of the people that you've had on the show already, all kind of do that same thing, where we all are very supportive of each other. It's, everyone helps lift the ship up together.
Very much in tapping into like bringing people aboard the show. This is something I always compliment the community, that this was just a wild itch idea. I was like, I love doing our tabletop game. It's very fun, but it's siloed. You know, how you don't get to talk to too many new people when you've got the same 4 people at your table all the time. How do I start meeting others? Because I'm also a little bit of a shy introvert, go figure, streamer. But it was, just I threw a video out there on TikTok and said, who would want to talk about their Fallout hobbies and what they make and how they make a thing from it, whatever. You're here on a digital space. You've got a username you chose. How did you get from wherever you started to how you are here now? And just the feedback, the people that came on board. And like you said, they've all got this great attitude towards them about building the community up and up and up. And maybe this serves as a segue to talk about a very exciting Pioneer Saloon event that's going to go on later this year, because I know there's a lot of people who are eager to go, like a ton.
Yeah. So the Pioneer Saloon event, this is the second year that I've gone, but Emily, our executive director for Fallout for Hope, has gone for a number of years. And we help the Pioneer Saloon with event planning in varying capacities. So we help with wrangle talent and getting word out, panels that we do for charity there. This year is going to be something really special. And so it's become what started as something small on Video Games Day, as like, what if we invited Fallout fans out? They did that, and they ended up with like 1,000 people that were out in the parking lot, like waiting to get into the saloon. And the saloon, what is the Prospector Saloon in Fallout New Vegas, is the Goodsprings Saloon in Goodsprings, Nevada. The town is modeled 1-to-1 on the game, so it's creepy going there, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, this is like the thing." It's so weird. It is very cosplay driven. This is essentially a Halloween costume ball homecoming for the community. Everyone puts on their favorite Fallout costume, and it is thousands and thousands and thousands of fans in the Mojave Desert at Goodsprings around the saloon, just having a hell of a lot of fun with Fallout. It started as 2 days. This is the first year that it's 3. It's a lot of people, and there's everything from panels to poker games to caravan. There's a Fallout Film Festival that Zach Finfrock will be doing from Nuka Break, a really iconic, popular show on YouTube that created a live action Fallout before Amazon did. That was really, really successful and so well written and produced. But it's just a fun event. So if you can get out to Vegas, it's November 14th, 15th, and 16th. You can find tickets at falloutfancelebration.com. And we'll be out there with a whole bunch of voice actor friends. So we've got Courtney Taylor, we've got Keith Sarabica, Wes Johnson will be doing his Voice of Palooza panel out there. We got Peter Jessup, Chris Shula, Laura Kane, Katie Townsend, just a lot of people from both Fallout 4 and New Vegas, as well as some surprise people from the TV show.
Ooh, that sounds very cool. Jeez, these are great social media clips, by the way, to whomever put this together. 10 out of 10 to them, because this is really engaging. And like, I could just sit here and watch these for hours. So
yeah, people love to ham it up.
It's so good. Like, that is, yeah, what an event. And you
Jason Marsden, of course, we announced recently too. Craig Boone, yeah, we've got a lot of guests coming.
This is going to be a heck of an event. So if you get the chance to get out there, folks, I mean, I think it seems like half of the guests I've had on the show might be out there or more.
Yeah, this will be a particularly banner year for 2 reasons. So it's the celebration of the 50th anniversary of New Vegas and the 10th anniversary of Fallout 4. So we're doing 2 90-minute panels with the developers and voice actors from both games. So Obsidian and Bethesda are coming out with some of their people. And we're just going to talk about the making of these games in person with a whole bunch of Fallout nerds in the desert. And it's just going to be a lot of fun.
That is phenomenal. Well, a true hats off to everyone that's involved in putting that event together because I feel like it's very rare order to find franchises who will lean into such stuff like that. Like it feels like whether you're a Star Wars fan or whatever you are, whatever your passion, your geek and nerddom is, it feels like there's often that very corporate barrier, and that still exists. Bethesda still has barriers there, but there's a true kind of like one-to-one connection at times with these events. Like there is a true developer creator at that scale to the actual player, the person who spent their love and their life, obsessing over New Vegas or whatever it is. Like that is a great connection that is rare and few and far between.
There is. And I also, Fallout 76 was a synthesis for the Fallout community in a way in which the community is so much bigger and more interlinked now than we ever were before. And that's just the way it is. A big part of that had to do with Fallout 76. And another part of it has to do with the insane success of the TV show, which essentially is filling the void for right now of Fallout 5, in that each installment of this game tends to introduce a new generation. And while that's not age specific, it's generational in terms of the community itself. So there are people who came in with Fallout 3. There are people that were already there with Fallout 1 and 2, then 4 and 76. Each cycle introduces a whole new influx of different people, new people who have different experiences, different expectations. And the TV show also kind of pays off on that. But I also, to your point, I think so often companies get so scared of the community from like an optics standpoint or a red tape standpoint, that it takes a while to build up a degree of trust, to know that, okay, if we do this thing or we allow this thing to happen, it's not going to be a disaster or make us look bad or get any bad press or things like that. I've been thankful over all of the time that we've been working together to kind of build that up a bit. And I think things have really changed in the face of that. Maybe in small part because of us, but maybe just in large part because of what the community is. When they built Fallout 76, they didn't intend for it to be the most wholesome gaming community in the world. It became that because it already kind of was. And they didn't realize, I think, to what degree it was until they realized that the vast majority of us didn't want to kill each other. We just, we wanted to build cute houses and tell stories and, hang out together and make virtual friendships. That's what the community did. It's people leaving junk in paper bags for people coming out of the vault, or older players taking younger players under their wing and kind of protecting them, guiding them through the game. It's that kind of wholesome spirit that kind of embodies what is unique to this particular gaming community. We did an event in Florida, our first IRL event, with GCX, the Gaming Community Expo out of Universal Studios Orlando Resort. So we were right there in the park. The Fallout for Hope booth, the very first Fallout for Hope booth, was in what was old Nickelodeon Studios. And in a weird bit of irony, one of my favorite shows when I was a kid was Legends of the Hidden Temple, classic Nickelodeon. And the soundstage that we were in was where Legends of the Hidden Temple had been, that game show that was on Nickelodeon for a long time. And our booth was right where Olmec used to be, the giant talking head. The event was an absolute blast. We had voice actor Mark Meir, who came out and got into cosplay right there. Scotty K Fitness, who's become a really good friend, was there with us. Absolutely amazing person. Speaking of Scotty, here's a little teaser for you. So Fallout Day this year is going to be unique, partly because we have our eyes set on crossing the 1 million milestone. So we're getting a little bit of help from Bethesda this year, in that Fallout Day will be live from Maryland. So we will be in studio in Rockville, Maryland at Bethesda, live on Fallout Day. And Scotty will be there with me too, co-hosting. So I'm really excited to like be in that building. And the very first thing that I'm gonna do, they've got like props from past trade shows. Where I'm going, there's a hallway that has the Fallout 3 sign from the E3 launch. It's metal and it's Tesla bulbs and it's burned mannequins, and it's just kind of there in the hallway. And that is the very first thing I'm going to see.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm super excited.
Well, a massive congratulations to these wonderful elements of the community you've helped uplift and build. And it is, like you said, it's really shown over the years how much this space has developed. Because, I'm 76 was my very first Fallout game. A lot of people that listen to the show regularly know that, but that's how impactful of an installment it's been for me. You know, I came in at I think a really great time for it when it turned a certain corner and really lit up with a lot of new ideas, new directions, a willingness to try things, a willingness to listen to the community, like you said, to trust. And I know I've already brought it up in this episode, but I think that them working on the camp is a really smart thing. You brought it up again when you said that we don't want to kill each other. We just want to build pretty things. And man, if they get the chance, if they tap in and they grab that Sims market of people who love building the more spooky side than then again, we're doing modern living right now, so we got some pretty going on too. But for people that like to build and craft and create, I just said to someone last night, I said, it's like we've just gotten hundreds of Lego pieces. Now that everything can be merged together, you can just let your mind go free and create all kinds of things. And Bethesda, if you're out there listening, someday and add rotation controls to all that stuff. We'll be sailing. This is such a good update. So I'm feeling very happy, and I'm feeling very happy you came by here today, Kenneth. It's very nice to sit down and talk with you.
Yeah, there's so much happening with Fallout over the next few years. Between the success of the TV show, there's just kind of no end in sight. And there's more and more of these community meetups and events that are happening. We're already planning GCX for next year, and trying to invite out even more prop builders and cosplay groups, and really just have everyone come out to Universal Studios Orlando and have one heck of a good time, all to benefit St. Jude.
Wonderful cause. Great thing to support everybody.
And if you scroll up a little bit, you can actually see the Clue mansion.
Can I? Oh, yeah. Let's see that. Sorry.
There's the Fallout Community Chronicle. So that's actually the front cover of the magazine. So that's what the logo is. And right there is the magazine. Yeah.
That is so fantastic. I love that so much. Holy crap. That's so cool. I saw this stack of them sitting over here. I hope everyone at home gets it in the nice centered view. There we go. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm not just enjoying it on my local side. That looks so great. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
What a tease. This is great. Kenneth, on your way out, because I've already kept you here for an hour plus at this stage, so I could keep you here many more hours, but I won't do that to you tonight. I like to give the guests a chance if they want to shout out any of their fellow creators that people should go give a listen to. And I know we've talked about Appalachia earlier, so great time to give the new spin-off show a shout out again. But really, if you want to shout out any of the people that are helping you pull this together, really, if you want to shout out anyone that doesn't even get enough credit, someone behind the scenes that needs a bit of recognition for their endeavors, the spotlight's yours to shout them out.
That's always difficult because there are now over 800 of us on the Fallout for Hope team, and arguably they all don't get noticed enough. So it's hard to pick any one person. I don't want to leave anybody out. So instead of maybe focusing there, I'll focusing on audio productions. In addition to our two shows, if you really, really, really want to hear more cool original stuff when it comes to Fallout, True Vault Escapes is exceptionally well written. That's been around for a while. Really incredible audio production. Definitely give a listen to that. There's also a few other podcasts in the Fallout 76 universe. One is the Modus Files, award-winning, really fantastic show with a unique enclave-focused storyline. And another one is Once Upon a Wasteland, which has a really it's a very slow burn, very well written romance with a heck of a lot of fun thrown in there in a typical Fallout fashion, with a little bit of a brotherhood focus. Both really, really amazing podcasts to check out and listen to. There's also some really interesting machinima that is coming down the pike in the community. Some people have been working on some really incredible animated shorts that will be coming out soon. Vaultist is one who's been working on for a long time in Unreal Engine a story based on Fallout 76's Mistress of Mystery quest, one of the more oddball, unusual quests that I loved because it was so incredibly different that first year. You dip into a little bit of living an audio drama in terms of some of the adventures that you went on, and also the secrets you uncover at the Shannon Rivers Mansion.
That is a very interesting quest. A good shout out there. And I love you taking the time to shout out those shows. Modus Files is one I only recently had stumbled across, like in the last month. And I was just blown away by going. And, I saw on their cover that they have some awards there. And I was like, okay, sure, let's give this. Wow, okay, I get it now. This is a good thing. So all of those. There are a couple others. The Vault, not a Vault, Escapades, Escapes. That one is a fantastic one.
Yeah, True Vault Escapes. Yeah.
Thank you. That is a phenomenal one. I listened to that months back. So just great people in this community who are knocking it out of the park. Kenneth, thank you for taking, again, that time out of your day to come through to chat with me. I know you got a lot going on, and I'm glad that we could give you that extra spotlight here to shout out these projects, to encourage people all throughout the community to get their submissions, and whether that's to go up to the website to Fallout for Hope and do the join the team, whether you're a streamer or other type of creator that wants to get involved, or you are interested in the Bethesda celebration upcoming here, the Fallout Day broadcast that is looking for submissions until, what did you say, the 20th or 21st
September
of September?
20th. Yep.
20th there, everybody. Wonderful. That is a lot on the horizon, and we'll have to chat with you again, Kenneth, whenever you got some of this stuff taken care of and wrapped up. We'll have to get some debriefs on events, and you're always welcome to come back through if you got more things you want to talk about or go into any more detail. We'd love the opportunity. But thank you for making the time to come out here today.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Well, Kenneth, we'll let you go. To everyone else out there listening along in the waste, I'm sure I'll see you in just a minute for a little wrap up. But if you tune out, you're on your way to do other things, you be safe out there in the waste. Until next time, everyone, you take care. Well, everybody, that was an absolutely phenomenal interview with Kenneth. Big shout out for coming by, taking the time, going through all of his works and what's upcoming, what they just wrapped up. It's a huge list. So if you're out there listening, be sure, as you heard, to go up and put your name in the list. If you're a streamer, you can do that up on the website. That's falloutforhope.com. You can also go and subscribe to the new spin-off podcast series, Appalachia, a Fallout 76 story, as well as, again, getting your name in on the list for the Fallout Day broadcast. And you better bet your butt I'm looking down there at the screen to see what all's going on, because Kenneth has a huge list of content, and I don't want to missay any of it. It is wonderful. It is massively awesome. And this is the sort of stuff this show is here to do, is to promote other people's events that are coming up and being built up. And so if you get the chance to leave a comment or like on this video, that would be phenomenal. It helps boost us in the algorithm. If you get the chance, like Kenneth said earlier, share these type of shows in circles you're allowed. We don't want you to spam Discords where you're not welcome to do so, but do share it with friends that love Fallout. Tell them, one of your favorite creators got interviewed. Just send them a link. Let them figure it out for themselves. People love getting introduced to new content by one another. Word of mouth is king. It's the most powerful way to get people to indulge in some new content. And again, that's what this show is about. So I encourage you to also leave the names down below of someone we should interview on this show. If you got a friend that's making content, whether it's physical, digital, or beyond, we would welcome them onto the show for an interview. And if you want to check out this and any other production we do from our Fallout TTRPG series, wait, don't we have a promo screen, Kyle? Oh, hey, look at that. I do that. I have a button. We got the Vault Broadcast podcast. We got the Overseer Kyle YouTube channel, which hosts that and some other things I throw up there, some unboxings and stuff like this badass Mothman shirt. We got our Fallout 76 crafting fairs. We're working on some in-game events the first and third Saturday of the month. We're doing that. Tales from Tomorrow, bottom row, that is our Fallout TTRPG, as well as the Overseer log, which is sort of a GM diary I do, which I talk into the mic and recap everything we've done for the week. And we decompress about the show itself, how the TTRPG went. And that leads us into the last one, the case review, our bonus content for our coffee members. That is a sit down right after the TTRPG with the people at the table, and we go in and do some extra details. I was teasing. We have a zine. A zine's going to come out soon. I need to probably update it at this point. I've kind of sat on it, but it is like a week or so old. It just needs some newer titles put into it, but I've been working on the zine that's really freaking cool, and I have it here. Ta-da! Well, it's out of focus, isn't it? Hello. I guess you don't get to see it. Preview over. You don't get to see it, folks. That's for coffee members only. But hey, again, everything else, if you want to check me out, it is at overseerkyle.com. We will be doing more of these round tables with our guests in the future, so look out for some of those to break up the one-on-one interviews in the feed. Check us out over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Overseer Kyle for a lot of Fallout 76 content. And to everyone out there, you be safe in the wastes. We want to catch you again here soon, so be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast players and more. Check us out in the very near future. Until then, everyone, bye-bye.